I wanted to talk to you a little bit about St. David's Hall because obviously you've played St. David's Hall. I
Yeah,
mean, I love St. David's Hall. I think it's a
yeah.
beautiful, beautiful venue. I love the acoustics there too. It's probably one of my favorite venues in Cardiff acoustically. I think it probably is right up there. I've never played there, but I've been on the stage because of other things, but not in that way. But of course, it's challenged at the moment, isn't it? There's a big financial problem, and we might lose St. David's Hall. So I mean, I've done my bit. Kind of all I can do is sign a petition. But as someone who's kind of played there, and being your home city and all the rest of it, what are your thoughts on St. David's Hall, and why would it matter if St. David's Hall was no longer about?
Well, I mean, it's, as you said, it's an old establishment. It's been sort of the heart of Cardiff, sort of, touring artist industry for a long time now. And like you said, the acoustics are
They're
second to none
beautiful,
there.
aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they because it's purpose built as a concert hall, isn't it? So it's. I mean, I've played there. I've gone to watch people there. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic place. But I mean, things move on, don't they? I mean, there's the city centres are breaking down anyway. It's not just the entertainment thing. Look, you only have to walk through town these days, and it's just full of bloody full of tents, and obviously it's a terrible problem with homelessness and all that kind of stuff that needs to be
Yeah.
sorted. So I think the city centres, you know, in general, are under a lot of stress. I heard that maybe someone was going to buy it out. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of that. Someone was going to
I
buy
haven't
it.
heard that, but I know there's quite a lot of money they need. It's quite a lot of money, I think.
Because I know Gareth, who runs all the stuff there.
Hmm.
Obviously put all them guys out of a job. But I mean, like this talk is John Lewis going now, so it's just a huge problem, and it's probably not Cardiff. It's probably Manchester. It's probably Bristol. It's probably well, Bristol's a little bit different, I think, because it's spread out a little bit more. But as a city centre, throughout the UK, I think that it's a big problem, isn't it? So it relies on that footfall, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a council resource, isn't it, as well, which so it's kind of got a different thing. But if you compare it to the motor point or whatever it's called these days, I honestly I don't think I'll ever go to a gig there ever again.
Well, it's not the motor
The
point.
acoustics are awful,
It's a horrific
Yeah,
venue for acoustics.
yeah,
And
dreadful.
I've never played there,
Yeah,
but I've been there. I've seen Oasis there a few times, and I've
I
seen
saw Oasis there once actually. Yeah,
yeah, I saw Incubus there as well, and it was
Mm.
just shit. It was like there is no acoustics in there. There's no treatment in there.
No, no, it's just a cavernous kind of concrete gargantuan thing.
Well, yeah, it's like going back to what we were saying at the beginning of everything. That treatment, you start with treatment, and then you build everything around the treatment.
Yeah,
They just literally built a barn and just shoved some speakers in there.
well, they just built a moneymaker, didn't they? Really, what's the biggest building we can pack thousands of people into, and
Yeah.
there it is, I suppose.
Well,
Talking of Cardiff, as you know, I recently I've been down to Motor Music a couple of times recently. I know Mike.
oh, Mike, yeah,
Mike
yeah,
Podesta,
cool.
and I'd never actually been there before. I've only I went down there because I went down to record an interview actually for Keep Cardiff Live, and I went down to interview Dave Durnley firstly.
I know Dave, yeah.
Yeah. I know you'd know Dave.
Yeah.
A bit of a legend, And so I sat down on that settee in Motor Music, did an interview with him, and then recently that was great because obviously he's playing one of his guitars, which they're on the walls. It's what I call Durnley Corner in there. And he picked the guitar at random. It was like a $6,500 guitar or something. He started playing it, and then I went down again with James Oliver, who again you probably know James, I'd imagine. And we had a conversation. And then while I was there, I'm fairly tight, by the way, and I'm looking around like I can never afford anything. What a beautiful shop! It's got to be $100,000, $200,000 worth of guitars now. It's got to be. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I'm never going to afford anything in here. And I must have accidentally ended up in Bargain Corner, I suppose, their version of Bargain Corner. And I saw this guitar. That looks a very nice guitar, and I picked it up. I thought, blimey, this is lovely. I really like this. Anyway, I ended up buying it, and it just turns out it used to be your guitar, and that's the Hudson Stage King.
Have you bought it? Have you?
I'm buying. I'm in the process of buying it. Yeah.
All right, yeah. Well, that's got a lot of history, that guitar. I mean, that been to so many gigs and played with so many different artists. I played. I toured. I did a lot of tours with that, and yeah, that came with me when I was gigging with Amy, actually. So that was on
Oh
stage
yeah.
there. And she actually had a J200 at the time.
Yeah.
And J200s are like fantastic guitars, or they're awful guitars. It depends on which one you get. I mean, the quality control in Gibson, and plus it's wood. Acoustic guitars are very different to electric guitars.
Yeah.
You know, it depends on the wood and all that kind of stuff, how the wood's been treated. And that Hudson was better than her J200, and that was a decent
Wow.
J200 she had.
Yeah.
So that guitar, I was endorsed by him when I got my first publishing deal, and I went there. And I think that guitar, when it first came out, was about 2,300 quid. It was an expensive guitar for an unknown name like Hudson.
Yeah.
And you know, you couldn't buy a J200 for less for less than $3,500 really now.
No.
You know, and most Martins, decent Martins, you're going to pay. So when you say about Dave Durnley, like $6,000 guitar, I mean, you know, decent, very, very good acoustic instruments. That's how much they cost. You know, if you want all like the abalone and all that shit, you know, which doesn't interest me. But that guitar did have all that, right? So it had all the abalone.
Yeah.
And it was made of solid maple. And yeah, it was just it was a Canon again, very much like my Guild.
It just felt really solid, you know.
Yeah, it's a solid guitar. And so I don't know if you can't see the studio now, I've got a Takamine EN40C, which is from Japan from the 1994.
A nice one,
which is worth a packet. I've got a Takamine EF 340, which is again Japanese, which is again a really sort of lucrative instrument based on the D28 Martin.
Yeah.
And I've got a Guild D40, got a Strat, got a Godin, you know. And if I'm being brutally honest with you, because I sort of had it, it was endorsed to me, and I didn't pay anything from it. It was just a tool for me, and I didn't invest any sort of what's the word
emotional kind of connection.
Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't sort of like what's the word I'm looking for when you look back at something and you look back and a photo. I can't remember. I can't. It will come to me after. So yeah, for me, I didn't have the room for it. So I just said to Mike, "Get rid of it for me, flog it for me." And he was like, "He said you're going to sell it." And he said, "You don't want to sell that." He said, "You're mad." I said, "Well, look," I said, "I haven't invested, you know, I'm not, that's the word. I haven't did that much sentiment behind it." I said, because I said, "Mate, now the Takamine I have, first, that was my dad's. Okay. That was what I bought that with, you know, with my dad helped me. My dad went out, that cost me about 1,400 quid in 1994. So you can imagine how much that costs now.
Yeah, yeah.
So I saved up and he'd helped me buy it. So I'd invested in that, but the Hudson I didn't. Yeah. And so if one of them was going to go, it was going to be the Hudson, even though arguably it's better than both of them. You know, it's way better. It's way better than that Takamine. Wow. And you know, and that's arguably would cost a lot more. So yeah,
so I've got a good one. I've got a good one there. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, unless you know, you don't know, because I mean, everyone just goes for Gibsons and Martins.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you know, and there's a lot of snobbery in guitar makers, but you know, a lot of these companies like Hudson can't compete. They can. I always say, go for a model, a company that no one's heard of, but their flagship model,
right?
Because they're gonna try really hard.
So in my world, for the money I'm paying for it, I've got a great guitar, and I've spoken to the guy who owned the guitar, and you told me how good it is. So I'm happy.
You won't. I tell you, how much you pay for it, if you don't mind me asking.
I'm getting it for $650.
That's crazy, because I stuck it up there for I think about $1,000, and I think he's just lowered that. I don't really care. I mean, I don't really need the money, and you know, I don't. I mean, you know, I mean, I needed the space more than anything. So I mean, it was just yeah, for that price. It's put it this way, it's worth, I would say, in terms of tone, probably 5 times that. Most of the stuff I'm going to be releasing is recorded on that Hudson.
Great. That's good.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
cool.
Listen, Ben, thanks very much for your time, and I appreciate, particularly for telling me how great my new guitar is going to be. So I appreciate that. As and when you're releasing stuff, obviously just come back to us, and we'll promote it for you and get it out there for you if that's helpful to you. If you want
Yeah,
to,
of course it
or
is.
share anything and anything you want to get out there, really.
Yeah,
Yeah, and good luck with it all, and thanks for your time.
no problem. Thanks for your time also. Cheers.
Cheers, Ben. All the best.
All right.
Bye, man.
Cheers, mate.
Bye bye.